Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiritual Brujas Podcast. Once again, we are so thrilled to be here yet again, talking about shame today and discussing all the many different phases of it and where it stems from, etc. And I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know we did, and are so grateful to be here and to be together and to be able to share whatever messages the universe has given us to share to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for joining us. And we're going to talk about shame today. So it's a kind of a topic that we thought would be good, as I feel a lot of people go through shame and they don't necessarily know how to, deal with shame or handle shame. So it's definitely something that affects us at a very early age, and dealing with it later in our adult years is something that we need to do. And most of us don't, and shame is a complex and powerful emotion that stems from a belief or perception that there is something inherently wrong or defective within oneself. And so it goes beyond the recognition of a specific behavior and taps into a person's sense of identity. And so that's the true definition of shame. And even distinguishing, shame from guilt, that's definitely something as well. And so when it's essential to differentiate the shame from the guilt. And while the guilt is often linked to the specific action or behavior, like you did something bad, shame is more global, and it involves a negative evaluation of self. I am bad. So it's just really one of those things that as children we're highly affected, by the shame of society and our families and the expectations and everything else. And it just stems into so much, and it's a really huge imprint on us as children and the behavior of how we, handle things and do things. So
yeah, and I think it's important to say that for kids from ages 0 to 7 years old, that's when typically we can start, forming these emotions. And this is when the trauma can start, right? That's when it's a crucial age, and it plays a crucial role in shaping our subconscious beliefs and perception about ourselves. These experiences are often contribute to our sense of self-esteem, etc. So oftentimes when it's happening, we don't really realize, hey, this is causing trauma. Hey, this is going to cause damage in the future, right? Because it's all stored in our subconscious. It's not until we become either teenagers or adults that we really start to really deal with the shame, among other things, right? It's not just shame, it's so many other things that can come up, for us. But during that age, it is the crucial age, right? Where anything we're taught, like when I was young, I would say, you should be ashamed of yourself, even something as small as that can really, really affect you in the future. Or, like if as kids we have soccer games or hockey games or tennis games, whatever it is, and our parents don't come because they're busy at work, our parents don't mean any harm, they're busy at work. But when we're adults, we then really reflect on that and think like, oh, I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't worthy enough for them to take time off work to be able to come to our games. Therefore, that's where shame starts, right? You start building on this shame. And then as you get older, they kind of start stacking, these events start stacking on one another. I know for me, very early on, my grandparents were very old school. So, which I'm sure a lot of grandparents were, at a very young age, we were taught to, kind of hide our body, or if we exposed any part of our body, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's not okay. It's not ladylike, or it's not, accepted. So at a very young age, I was taught that. Therefore, that has played a big, big role in where I'm at now, where I'm 44 years old now, and I still feel shame, and not even shame because I'm uncovering my body or because I'm wearing something, just shame in who I am as a person and shame in how I look, and really, really struggle to be even on camera. Me and Corinne have talked about this a lot. It's a big, big issue for me to show up for myself and for others and be able to look at myself, and that is something that I really should celebrate, because yet I'm still doing it, even though it's extremely difficult for me and uncomfortable. um and I have really, really reflect on this and gone back to see where this comes from and why I feel this way, and really, really taken the time to figure out that, hey, this comes from way, way back. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of inner child work that I've been working on to help heal that part of me. But even as an adult, there has been many different unfortunate events that have happened that have kind of added to that shame, right? For
Right.
example, having being getting pregnant before being married, uh, you know, not doing very good in high school, and barely graduating. I feel like a lot of times I was looked at as a bad influence by others, by other family members or even other moms of friends, etc., that cause shame. Then you have the incarceration. I mean, that alone was a huge, huge thing for me, and it caused so much shame,
Right.
disappointment. I mean, just things that really added it on for me. So really working through that shame and really realizing and recognizing that the only way I'm gonna get over this and get through with this is by doing what is the hardest for me, which is showing up online and showing up on camera, even when it's so uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think for you, I mean, and for me, I was where you are. I was that person that was ashamed of my body, ashamed of, showing up for me. And, I've been trying to do this for, the last 10 years, or doing this for the last 10 years. So I remember, I mean, just 3 years ago, I wasn't as comfortable as I am today being on camera. And that was just 3 years ago, So it's like you really have this beautiful journey, and we're so impressionable as children. And it's like, it's not till like later in life that you see how really, society and your family has put these expectations on you. And, and then you feel ashamed about these things, and then and then it has all this damage on you later on in life, because you feel unworthy. You don't feel like you deserve these things. And
Yeah.
it's just a negative, just a negative aspect to you feeling like inadequate to do something, and it just is not a good feeling. So it's really taking that time to reflect, like you said, like we were talking earlier, and how our thoughts are so powerful. And it's like you think about things, and then you really have to catch yourself and correct yourself. So it's when you start feeling that shame, it's like, okay, well, wait,
Awareness. Yeah.
what's causing this shame? Why am I feeling this way? And sit with yourself, really, like really take the time to sit with yourself, because there's always going to be things that come up from our children, from our childhood, from when we were kids, and we may not always know what it means or how to handle it. And hopefully we have, a good support tool belt to get through things like this. But it's really just going within and reflecting and sitting with yourself and seeing what did cause me to feel this shame, and like you said, you you narrowed it down to your grandmother and that experience, for certain things. And it's like, I went through the same thing of being, we were just discussing this, that I was, in a little girl wearing dresses and being girly for so long. And then I think, as we just kind of unrevealed for just our discussion, that I really turned into a tomboy. And I think that was really when I was transitioning into, a woman as a little girl, or into a teenager, and your body changes and all that. And I was like, that's really where it probably stemmed from. But I was ashamed. So I wanted to wear baggy shirts. I wanted to wear baggy jeans. Plus, then at that point, I was becoming a chubby kid, and gaining weight. And it was just, my whole body was changing. And so that brought a lot of shame, and I didn't have self-confidence and everything. And then I, got bullied, and that was just, that's a whole different podcast. But yeah, a lot of shame went into my body and how I looked and how I felt. And then going into even just eating, I mean, I remember, as a kid, you can't leave the table without eating your meal. But
Right.
then I was always the chubby kid, so it's like, how do you do that? How do you try to finish your meal, but yet you're overweight and you're having, at that point you don't know because you're little, but it's still shame because you don't want to finish all your food, but you have to, you know? So it's like, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
it.
we're programmed, right, at a very
Yeah.
young
Yeah.
age to and on things that really our parents don't really know that they're gonna cause the trauma that they cause, right? I
100%.
think that's what I've learned to
They're
recognize.
just doing their best.
Right. They always do the best with what they knew. I mean, my grandmother was a very wise woman, but she was also raised at a very different time, you know? She was from like the early 1900s. My goodness, it was a total different era, you know? Things were just very different. So I don't blame anyone for this.
Right.
But it's important to know where the root of the problem happens, right? And I think what I really would like to share is that when I do feel this shame, you know, or I'm in a situation where I'm getting a little bit of anxiety or feeling overwhelmed because I'm about to do something that is extremely uncomfortable. One of my coaches has really taught me that you need to be in a very neutral, you know, place and I recite this mantra. It is my mind is trying to keep me safe and I'm trying to attach meaning. My vision is clear. My mind is clear. My present moment is safe. I feel neutral. And I just repeat that mantra over and over and it really helps me feel nothing,
Yeah.
neutral,
Yeah.
feel neutral. And it is in that moment that I can then step forward and be like, okay, here we go. Let's do this, you know? And it's crazy that something so small can do that, you know? But another thing
Yeah.
that really helps is the emotional freedom technique, you know, the tapping and
Yeah.
just reciting positivity and love to and compassion for
Oh, yeah.
yourself, you know,
Yeah.
allowing you to really uh feel neutral and be, you know, kind of like regulate your nervous system, you know, that really helps. But yeah, the shame, I don't know, I don't even know that the shame will ever really go away. I feel like it's always going to be there, even if it's just a little, you know, because of the world we live in. You know, society has such a big hold on us in that aspect, you know, where they're constantly showing us, you know, what we should look like and what we need to be and how successful we should be and, you
Yeah.
know, how good of a mom you need to
Expectations.
be. I mean, there's just so much, right? What kind of cars you need to drive, what your house should look like, etc., right?
Yeah.
And so we're always going to have a little bit of that shame, but it's learning to kind of put it in a little box, you know, in that
Yeah.
moment and be able to be at a neutral stance in your life to be able to take these steps that are going to help you kind of take the power away from the shame.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think mantras, I mean, and just giving yourself that love, because that's what it's coming down to. It's you being, maybe criticized or judged or something. You're not getting that unconditional love when you're feeling that shame, right? So it's just really like even just hugging yourself, honestly, and saying you're loved, you're worth it, you're enough, just
Yeah.
giving,
Yeah.
yeah, just giving yourself that love, and actually like touching yourself and doing that. And I know it sounds so silly, but it does work, and just saying that you're safe, you're loved, you're cared for, just whatever it is you feel that you need in that moment, give it to yourself, and a lot of people don't realize that we can give that to ourselves. Like everything we need is within ourselves, and we always seek outside of ourselves for everything. And it's like, we really can get ourselves out of something like this, amongst other things, but really hugging yourself or giving yourself that love that you need, that you didn't get for whatever thing you're being shamed for, is really, yeah, that's really going to help you,
Yeah.
get back. It's getting from your head to your heart, it's really getting out of your head and back into your body, into your heart, and doing that is definitely by
Yeah.
tapping,
I
saying
think
affirmations.
honoring it, right? Honoring the shame and
Yeah.
saying, okay, I know you're there, but right now we're going to put you in this little box and put you over here. And get on with whatever I need to get on with for today, and I will deal with that again another day, because I think that the shame can really, really, at least in my opinion and the way I see things, the shame has really, really held me back for
Yeah.
so you know, from being my higher self and being that authentic self that I really want to be because of fear, right? Because of fear of the unknown, of thinking what is everybody else going to think, what are they going to say, even being a coach right now, there's so much shame in it. There's so much fear around it, and
Yeah.
you're right, just recognizing and telling us, because as coaches, sometimes I get caught up in thinking that I need to find solutions for these people, and I need to help them fix themselves when really that's not the case,
Mm.
right? Our job is to be guides,
Yeah.
mentors, if you will, right? And
Yeah.
be there to help them and support them. All the answers are already within them. It is just our job to give them the tools that we know, and techniques, modalities,
Mm.
submodalities, all these things, to help them navigate through
Yeah.
this hard time and get them to figure out their own life, and figure out what it is that they need in their life, but not facilitate that for them, not give them the answers, right? Because the answers, they are
Well, they're
within.
not going to learn. Yeah. Right. Well, and they need to go through the journey themselves, you know.
Right,
I mean,
because
it really does play a huge it shapes really one's identity, it really does, and it just has a big influence on how on how you are as a human. Like everything as a child has a huge impact, on who
it's
you
part of
are.
your purpose, it's part of your destiny, right? To just go through these tough moments and view them as lessons, and
Mhm.
have the support that you need to help propel you, but also, you know take what you need to learn from these things, and yes, shame is going to be there every step of the way, but learning to, you know, keep going even when this shame is overshadowing you, because like
Yeah.
I said, for me in my life, that has been, gosh, that has been huge, 44 years of feeling shame. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a whole lifetime, right? And it's not something that's going to go away tomorrow or even next year, right? It's something that's going to
Yeah.
take a really long time to work at it and on it, and then it's like you get through one pillar, right? And you feel better, and then you're like, "Yay, I feel so good. Everything's great." And then you're
Right.
like, "Oh, here's another pillar." And it's just peeling back the layers. There's always going to be more layers to peel back. Life
Yeah.
is great big lesson. Um, and shame is just one of those things that you're gonna have to, go through and overcome little by little.
Yeah. Yeah. And really just learning those tools to really get you through those times when, shame does come about you, because it could be, I mean, it could got a lot of anxiety and depression and, low self-esteem. I mean, all that comes into play when when you have shame. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
important because it definitely impacts your mental health.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, I just really wanted to talk about this topic because I don't know who needs to hear it out there, but I just want to make sure that you guys hear me when I say that I deal with this every single day of my life. I really struggle with being on camera and looking at myself, even looking at myself in the mirror, even trying to approach people, I mean, the shame is just really, really real on a daily basis. And I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. I know, Corinne, you said you've dealt with that in the past, and I know we've talked about it. I'm constantly telling you, how much I admire you and look up to you for being where you're at now. And thank you for reminding me that, you used to be where I'm at,
Yeah.
that there's hope, right? There's hope for me to be able to be where you're at, and
Yeah.
even further than that, but I just want our audience to know that, like, there is no shame in feeling shame. you know? There really isn't, and this is just part of life and part of what we have to go through, what our journey is, you know? Because we need to deal with this and we need to go through this because there's gonna be somebody that we are gonna need to help in the future. And going
And
through this is gonna
experience it.
teach us
Mhm.
teach us how to navigate through this and how to help somebody else navigate through it. Just how you're doing it for me, I'm gonna be there to do it for others, right?
Yeah, to help
And
other people navigate and overcome their, their anxiousness around things and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Mm.
just want our audience to know that this is something that has been really hard for me. Really, really hard. I mean, out of everything, the guilt, the disappointment, I think the shame is the one thing that I notice is the most present in my life on a regular basis. I mean, it affects everything. It affects social media, it affects my job, it affects my love life, it affects me even as a mom. You know, there's so much shame that I feel like I'm not a good enough mom, that there's so much I overcompensate for because I feel so much shame around that I haven't been a good enough mom because of what my mistakes have been, because of being incarcerated, because of being away, you know, that I really feel like that is something that's really big in my life that I'm constantly like, yeah, well, I should just let them do this because like that's going to make me a better mom. When really like I'm a really good mom, you know, when I sit and think about it like, yeah, I made that one mistake, but I've spent the last 12 years making it
Trying
up,
to make up
you
for
know,
it.
and and
Yeah.
and I will probably spend the rest of my life trying to make up for it, you know?
Great.
Please hear me when I say that you are not alone in this, you know? This is
Yeah.
a very real thing, and it doesn't matter how successful somebody is, they can feel the shame just as much as me or anybody else, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm
It's
here,
a
so
universal human condition. Like everyone feels it.
yeah,
Everyone. You know,
everyone, you are not
we all
alone, you
can relate.
know?
And it's just really just having that self-awareness around it and knowing like when you can identify the shame, right? And what triggers it and the patterns and having that self-awareness is really key because then you can, like know
Really
how to
work on
act and
yourself,
work on
right?
it.
Even when it comes we were just talking about this, how when I feel like I'm judging someone, you know, I'm like, why is she doing that? Or why is she making so many videos of herself, you know? I have to be like, whoa, what's going on with you that you're over here judging somebody? Maybe it's that they're taking up so much space and I wish I could take up so much space, you know? Or maybe it's that they're so confident in themselves and I wish I could be so confident in myself, you know, having that self-awareness to really think about it and analyze like where is this stemming from, where is this coming from is
Yeah.
really, really huge, you know, in your healing process because you can really start to identify things for what they are, you
Yeah.
know, and that will really help you stop yourself from passing judgment to others.
Well, and then like it's just it's really like when you do have that negative self-talk, like you said, most of us just keep it going on to the next thought. Where like you and I are very much aware of our thoughts and every day, and what we are constantly thinking and our intentions. And we will catch it, we'll think it. Sure, we're not perfect, we're still gonna have these thoughts from time to time, but at least right away we analyze it and we have that self-awareness and we're like, where is this coming from? And we give ourselves that self-compassion, but we also kind of dig into our inner dialogue right away, and we're like,
Right.
what's going on here? Why am I thinking? Why am I judging? Or why am I going through this? And that's really important too. And then just setting, those boundaries within yourself, knowing like, okay, if I start talking about this, I need to remember, like, I need to start questioning myself, or I need to just, it's just being more self-aware, really, and just having that relationship with yourself and fine-tuning that, and seeing why you, when once you are unpack those patterns and those triggers, then you can set up those boundaries to protect yourself from those external sources that give you that shame, you know and so it's, prioritizing whether you need to say no to people or putting yourself in a
Yeah.
better environment or whatever it is. But once you have that awareness, then there's certain things that you can do to help you build that resilience, right? Because you don't want to keep having these same patterns happen to you again and again, you want to, put yourself in a healthier environment, or, setting these boundaries, so then you're not constantly in your head either.
Yeah, boundaries are super important. And also, like, shame will just manifest itself differently. I know for me, sometimes it's even just walking into a family event and thinking, oh gosh, why is everybody staring at me? It's probably because I look really fat, or, right away,
Yeah.
catching myself and being like, just telling myself, girl, everything is
You're
not
being
about,
critical of yourself and
yeah,
having negative self-talk. Yeah.
and again, just going to the bathroom and saying that mantra, or doing a quick EFT tapping session, and just helps me, okay, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. But yeah, it is very prevalent in my life currently and for a long time. And I just really wanted to talk about it because I think in this point in my life, I feel like it's the one thing that is really holding me back from showing up online, and just really sharing my message, and being able to be that vessel that I so want to be for other women, in my community, online, wherever. I just really feel like it's important that I'm authentic, and that I'm not just here, feeling like I can talk about and tell other people what they should be feeling, or thinking, or blah blah blah, but really, like, saying, like, hey, this is something I deal with at
Yeah.
with every single day. And it is very, very present in my life currently, in my past, and it is probably going to be there in the future. And these are the things that I do to help me get through my day, and do these hard things that it is for me, because these things, like showing up on camera, for other people it's not hard, but I
Yeah.
cannot tell you
Natural.
how hard.
Totally natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like I much rather I much rather go take care of 15 kids than show up
Go
online
up on
for
camera. Yeah.
5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
just something that really, really sets me into, like, this
Yeah.
anxious, place, and just overwhelming. And it's crazy, like, I start to sweat, I start to feel like I'm, can't catch my breath. I mean, it's just crazy what it does to me, but I know that the only way to get past this is to get through it, and there's just going to be no other way to do it. So, again,
You are, and you're doing it, and you're showing up, and we're doing the podcast, and you're gonna, I mean, you're working on your online presence for your social media, and that's what it is. It's just breaking down those barriers and putting yourself out there. And pretty soon you're gonna look back at this and be like, I can't believe I was ever like this, because that's how I look. I'm like, I'm not. I mean, I definitely feel I've come a long way. And it's like I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I had to start somewhere. I may have fumbled words and, made silly videos or whatever, but at least you got to start, and you just got to start putting yourself out there because, like you said, we're these vessels for these men and women, across the
uh,
world that are just waiting to hear us, and they're just wanting to hear what we have to say. And it's like we're doing ourselves a disservice by having the shame and thinking that we're not good enough, or we can't take up space, or whatever it is that we have these thoughts, about ourselves. And it's like, no, we deserve to take up this space. We're here to take up this space. We're meant and made to take up this space
and
you
we're
know
worthy. We're so
we're
worthy.
worthy,
you know?
absolutely.
We're worthy. And it's crazy just to think, like, one of the thoughts that comes through my mind right now is just like, I have been through so many hard things, and
Yeah,
to think that, like, this is the one thing that I'm
like showing up on camera
yeah,
to talk
like,
to
this is the
the
one thing that really it puts me into this, like, crazy mode, where I wanna, like, shit myself,
I know.
is like this. But I'm like, "Holy crap, like, you've been through this, and this, and now you're struggling with this?"
I
It just
know,
blows
right?
my mind, right?
Yeah.
But it just really goes to show how much this can have a hold on you,
Oh,
how
absolutely.
powerful the shame is, and how deep it runs, because it runs deep.
Oh,
It runs
yeah.
keep,
Yeah.
and it will keep me from going to parties, guys. It keeps me from going to events, from getting ready, from going shopping. I mean, it's just really, really been
It's deep rooted. It's deep.
yeah, it really is deep rooted, and it's really deprived me from
Yeah.
showing up as I should be showing up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I just feel you miss out on so much in life when you live life that way. And it's like, it's sad because I know for me, I've missed out on a lot because of the way, I was ashamed the way, just my body and how I looked. And you're not comfortable, you don't fit in places, and all that. And it's like you don't realize that effect on you and what you can't do, sitting in even chairs. And I mean, it's just insane. And even to this day, I mean, even though I'm a lot, I'm a lot smaller than I was when I started my journey, I still like when I see smaller chairs, I still like, am I gonna fit? Like, even though I know I am, but I'm still like, I still have that shame around my body and not like thinking that, I'm gonna be too big, and it's like, yeah, it's just it's definitely a huge like pattern and trigger that just sticks with you. I mean, it just really does. And it's just you just have to learn how to have that self-awareness and then get yourself through it, and that's what you're doing. And by showing up for yourself, you're just, putting yourself out there more, and you'll get more comfortable and build your self-confidence and all that. And that's exactly what I had to do, is get more comfortable with me, in my skin, which then allowed me to be more comfortable being on camera and speaking to, my social media and everything in my audience. So,
And I
but
think that's beautiful. I think that it's like I said before, I truly, truly look up to you and watch your videos and think like, wow, like I want to be like that, I want to be that confident that I can dance in front of the screen. I mean, honestly, like I envision myself and I get red just thinking of dancing in front of the screen, so I know eventually I will get there, and I totally can close my eyes and see myself dancing, and so I know it is in my future,
yeah,
and I'm here to tell all of you guys that it's in your future too. Whatever you desire, you are capable of. We all are. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and you're not going to, have setbacks, but it's definitely you're definitely capable of it, of having the life that you so desire and are manifesting. I know that today my coach asked me like from 1 to 10, how much do you believe that the life you've manifested for yourself is possible? And I said 9, because I truly believe that. I mean, I can close my eyes at any point in the day and see my future self, see what I'm wearing, I see myself in like this meadow, with daisies all around and just dancing in circles with like a hat, and it was so funny when I was explaining it to her. She's like, "I can feel the excitement in your voice." She's like, "Your voice goes from like low to high." She's like, "And your expression on your face changes." She's like, "Because you're truly, truly embodying that." She's like, "So when you're feeling this way, close your eyes, kind of like an anchor,
yeah.
feel that." And she's like, "And then open your eyes and embody that, embody what you're feeling." She's like, "Because you don't have to wait until you're that person to start feeling that way. You can do that now." Because
Yeah.
that person is you. There's no difference. The only difference is that that person is already embodying that, right? So it's all about embodying it. And there is moments where I embody it and I'm just like, yeah, this is me, But of course, there's a lot more moments where I don't, right? Where I'm like, yeah, girl, come down from that cloud up there. Come back down here. Um, and I think it just has to do with like what my real life is like and how chaotic it is, that it really brings me down from that cloud, that I would love to spend 90% of my time in. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it is all about manifestation and learning to honor your shame and be friends with it,
And know it's okay.
love.
We
Give it
all
love,
experience.
give that
Yeah.
version of yourself lots of love, right? Because the shame comes from when you were really young, and what that person needs, what that inner child needs is so much love and compassion for who they are, you
Mhm.
know? And that's part of the work, is going back and really giving that little girl the love and the self-confidence and the compassion that she needed in that moment, in time to feel like she's accepted, she's validated, and she's beautiful and confident as she is, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And that is such a beautiful thing to do. I mean, there's been times when I go back and do that and I'm just in tears,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be able to do that for my younger self.
Right, right. No, and that's important, and that's really part of really unpacking these, triggers and patterns and stuff that we are so easily influenced as children, and we don't realize that until we start doing the work as adults, how much it influences us. So, yeah, just having that awareness and really using your tools that that are better, best fit for you and however that may be, and then just making sure that you're not alone. Everyone struggles with this, and it's okay, and even to be open about it and talk to your friends about it and lean on your support team, and there's professionals that could help you with, even if it runs really deep and you need it. There's definitely people out there. So it's yeah, it's just something we want to discuss today, and we thought it was a good topic, as it is such a universal human experience that we go through, and a feeling that we have, and we all can relate, and we all know the struggle, and it's definitely not something to shy away from, and something that we wanted to bring out there. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and listening in and hanging out with us for today, as we appreciate everyone always.
Yeah, likewise. And I think that just to close out, I think that everyone out there needs to hear that you guys are capable of everything you want, and we are too. That's why we do this work, because we truly truly believe it, and truly believe that there's women out there that need to hear our message, and need to hear that they are enough just as they are, you know and I want you guys to know that it doesn't matter whether you have money, you don't have money, whether you live here or you live in another country. Like, you know, you are enough the way you are,
Mhm.
and your dreams are only a step away, from being your reality. Just
Mhm.
believe in yourself, like I believe in you guys, like Corinne believes in you, like we believe in each other, and together as a collective, we can do this. We can do this. We can overcome our shame, we can overcome our hurdles, and get to where we need to go and have everything we've always wanted to manifest.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We have everything we need within us. It's just believing and realizing and having faith and trusting the process, you
Yeah,
know?
and be patient with yourself, be patient with yourself, because your current self has, your past self has worked so hard to be who you are today. And sometimes I think that we are not patient enough with ourselves, and we are not graceful enough with ourselves. So giving ourselves grace and allowing uh us to just be patient and really just take it all in, and things will work out. Everything will always work out. And remember, if it would all be okay, and if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
So,
thank you again, everyone, for listening,
yeah,
for being
thank
here
you
with
for
us. We are eternally grateful
yeah.
for everyone who listens, and I hope this message, uh, was able to help somebody today.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
wonderful afternoon.